Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you're passionate about Springbok rugby and want to stay updated on all the latest news, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and turn on those notifications so you never miss a single update. We've got some important injury news to discuss today that could have major implications for the Boks' upcoming November internationals. If you find this information valuable, please give us a thumbs up and share this video with your fellow rugby supporters. Your engagement really helps us continue bringing you the content you love. Now, let's dive straight into the latest developments surrounding one of South Africa's most important players. The Springbok camp is holding its collective breath as they await the final verdict on RG Snyman's fitness ahead of the crucial November test matches. The towering lock, who has been making waves with his performances for Leinster and Ireland, was forced to leave the field early during a recent match after sustaining what has been described as a hip injury. The incident has sent ripples of concern through both the Irish province and the South African national setup, as Snyman has become an increasingly vital component of the Springbok forward pack. For those who have been following Snyman's journey, this latest injury scare is particularly frustrating given the run of bad luck he's experienced over the past few years. The big man has shown incredible resilience in battling back from previous setbacks, and just when it seemed he was hitting his stride and delivering the kind of performances that made him such a sought-after player in world rugby, this hip issue has emerged to cast doubt over his immediate availability. The rugby community, both in South Africa and Ireland, has been quick to express support and hope that this injury won't prove to be another lengthy layoff for a player who has already endured more than his fair share of time on the treatment table. What we know so far is that Snyman was forced off early in the match, which immediately raised alarm bells among those watching. Anytime a player of his caliber has to leave the field prematurely, it's a cause for concern, especially when it involves an area like the hip, which is crucial for the physical demands of playing in the second row. The Leinster coaching staff conducted initial assessments, and while the early indications suggested the injury might not be catastrophic, the team has been understandably cautious about making any definitive statements until all the medical evaluations have been completed. The Leinster head coach addressed the media following the match and provided what can only be described as a carefully worded update. He confirmed that Snyman had indeed sustained a hip injury, and that while they were hopeful it wouldn't prove too serious, a final decision on his availability would only be made during the week. This kind of language is typical in professional rugby, where medical teams want to conduct thorough assessments before committing to timelines or prognoses. The use of phrases like final decision and during the week suggests that the injury is significant enough to require proper evaluation, but perhaps not so severe that immediate long-term concerns are warranted. What has added an interesting dimension to this situation is the fact that Snyman has been named in the Springbok squad for the November internationals. This selection was announced before the injury occurred, and the South African coaching staff had clearly identified him as a key figure in their plans for the upcoming tests. The November window is always crucial for Southern Hemisphere teams touring the North, and the Springboks will be looking to make statements against quality opposition. Having Snyman available would be a significant boost to their forward pack, given his line-out prowess, his ability to carry ball, and the physicality he brings to both attack and defense. The timing of this injury could hardly be worse from a Springbok perspective. The team has been building momentum and continuity in their selections, and Snyman had established himself as an important part of the second-row rotation. His experience playing in European conditions with Leinster was seen as a particular advantage for the November tour, as he understands the style of play, the conditions, and the challenges that come with facing Northern Hemisphere opposition on their home turf. Losing him, even temporarily, would force the coaching staff to reconsider their combinations and potentially disrupt the planning that has been in place for weeks. However, there are reasons for cautious optimism. The fact that the Leinster coach used language suggesting the injury may not be too serious is encouraging. If the medical staff genuinely feared a long-term issue, the messaging would likely have been more somber and non-committal. Instead, the indication that a decision will be made during the week implies that there's a realistic possibility Snyman could still be available for at least some, if not all, of the November fixtures. The Springbok medical team will undoubtedly be in close contact with their Leinster counterparts, sharing information and assessments to ensure everyone has the clearest possible picture of the situation. It's worth considering the broader context of how the Springboks manage player welfare and injury concerns. Rassie, Erasmus, and the coaching staff have consistently demonstrated a willingness to be patient with injured players, never rushing them back before they're truly ready. This conservative approach has served South Africa well, ensuring that players return to action fully fit rather than risking aggravation of injuries or compromised performances. If there's any doubt about Snyman's readiness, the smart money would be on the Boks taking a cautious approach, even if it means missing him for the early tests in the window. The depth in the Springbok second row provides some insurance against Snyman's potential absence. South Africa has developed an impressive stable of locks in recent years, with multiple players capable of performing at the highest level. While Snyman brings unique attributes to the position, particularly his ball-carrying ability and his experience in European rugby, there are other quality options available. That said, losing a player of his caliber is never ideal, and the coaching staff would much prefer to have him available as they prepare to face tough opposition in challenging conditions. From a Leinster perspective, this injury also raises questions about how they'll manage Snyman's workload moving forward. The Irish province has invested heavily in him and will be keen to ensure he remains fit for their crucial matches in the United Rugby Championship and European competitions. There will undoubtedly be ongoing conversations between Leinster and the Springboks about managing his playing time to maximize his availability while minimizing injury risk. It's a delicate balance that requires cooperation and trust between club and country, something that has generally worked well in Snyman's case. As we await the final medical verdict, the rugby world remains in a state of hopeful anticipation. Snyman himself will be desperate to prove his fitness and take his place in the Springbok squad for the November tests. He knows how important these matches are, not just for the team's immediate goals, but also for building toward future World Cup campaigns. Every opportunity to play at international level is precious, and missing out due to injury is always a bitter pill to swallow for any professional athlete. The coming days will be crucial as medical assessments are completed and decisions are made. Scans will be analyzed, specialists will be consulted, and ultimately a determination will be reached about whether Snyman can safely participate in the upcoming internationals. The Springbok coaching staff, the medical team, and the player himself will all have input into this decision, weighing the short-term benefits of his availability against the long-term imperative of protecting his health and career longevity. What we can say with certainty is that everyone connected with South African rugby will be hoping for positive news. Snyman represents the kind of world-class talent that can make the difference in tight test matches, and his presence in the squad would provide valuable options and combinations for the coaches to work with. Whether he takes the field in November or requires a bit more time to fully recover, the hope is that this hip injury proves to be nothing more than a minor setback in what has already been a challenging but ultimately inspiring career journey for one of the Springboks' most talented big men.